I've never really chosen to read books on my own. Most of my free time is spent playing soccer or hanging out with friends. Silly, right?
Sure enough, where I was again, reading something I had to. I thought for sure it was going to bore me to death. By the end, I'd just be so incredibly relieved that it was over. Then, when I actually started to read your book, it opened up a whole new world. One more reading is actually important, and very few books can do that. Fireworks set off full of colors mixing together, forming an indescribable feeling. Your vision is clouded and you just can't take your eyes off the book. Seriously? Yeah, seriously. New interests formed now that you can open the store. I never even thought that this feeling existed when you're so into a story like that. Your book did that for me. I really love the character August and how his individuality is the main focus of the tale. Before I read your book, Wonder, I have to admit, I didn't even know people who have faces like that even existed. Your book really taught me some great lessons. August has definitely changed my point of view on kids with special needs or disabilities my age. Even though August doesn't even have special needs. I've never bullied or been mean to kids like that, but I'd always ask people about them. I can connect to the title of Wonder because I've always wondered about these kind of irregular features some people are born with. This book gave me my answers. Whenever I saw somebody like that on the streets, I would try not to stare, just like August described, and I would always sneak peeks at them, but I didn't know they actually saw me. When I realized about how August said people would stare at me secretly, I felt a pang of guilt because I had done that too. In addition, I always wondered how a person with a distinct feature like that thinks. I always had this wrong theory of them sort of being stupid or having lower intelligence than people like me, at least before I read your novel. I don't have special needs, or I don't know anybody who does, but your book gave me a pretty darn good idea on what they are like. Thank you for that. When I found out how great August was at science and overall academics, I was actually shocked, sadly. August was probably one of the bravest people I've ever heard of, even though he isn't real. I would have never had the courage to go to school if I looked like that. His words about starting school really touched me like nothing else. August is amazing, and nobody can compare to his bravery. I think I really look up to him. Next, throughout this book, I kept referring myself to Jack and Summer. This was a very emotional book in numerous ways. Mean kids just don't get how bad things can hurt somebody. The way Julian was asked to defend August, and when she first asked him, "What's with your face?" it really made my heart sink because I have been in the same situation before, only I was in the position of August. First, at the beginning of this year, I had a tooth that was like no other. It stuck out of the left side of my gum, and it was there for about 9 to 10 months. I was very self-conscious about it. I would never have a big smile on my face like I used to. Instead, I would almost half smile behind the tooth, and it really wouldn't show my true self. He would make remarks about it, not trying to be hurtful, but it really felt off with me. Also, the worst part was that the dentist would take it out. Then, at the beginning of 6th grade this year, picture day rolled around. I usually am nervous about this day, but this year I was as nervous as a lamb about to get slaughtered, just as August described him, just as August's dad described him before he started school. I was too worried about it looking horrible that I messed up, and even my older sister said I didn't look happy in it. Eventually, I got the picture back, and there it was, my tooth, completely ruined the picture. I was heartbroken. My very first year of middle school, and my yearbook picture was a complete embarrassment. Then one day, somebody came up to me and asked me, "Wow, you have a really loose tooth." I just stood there calmly and answered them like they hadn't just embarrassed me. But deep inside, it felt like my whole body had just fell apart, like I hadn't been broken in two. I probably felt the exact same way August did when Julian said that. In addition, the fact that the story is put in present really hit me. Were kids like August still treated this way? Yes, they still are. It gave me a perspective on how these kids really are gifted in their own ways, even if they aren't popular. I bet, thanks to you, I'm probably one of the people, a lot, I'm probably the only one out of my friends who realizes that. But I obviously wouldn't have said that a couple weeks ago. Looks are one of the main things our kids are judged at my school. When I thought I was having a hard time starting middle school, like imagine August.
Now I realize how lucky I am, and I shouldn't be complaining. Next, throughout this book, I kept referring myself to Jack and Summer. Even though Jack was requested to be extra friendly to August, he really enjoyed him as a friend. People I know would have never been able to be that brave. People would be just thinking about whether this would ruin their reputation. Then I realized that this should be out of pure generosity. In one part of the book, when Julian is talking bad about August, Jack punches him in the face. I'm not saying this is a good thing, but he was willing to defend August on his own will, and he shows a stupendous example of what I think friendship is all about. Although, before I get too ahead of myself, Jack and I have some improvement to do. Like Jack, I would have had very mixed feelings about Augie, and probably just like Jack would have said mean things about him behind his back. Then there's Summer. She's probably even more stupendous than Jack. The fact that she befriended August without anybody asking her to, is just so shocking to me. I don't think I know a single person who would ever do that. Summer is really a one of a kind. Nobody, even my closest friends, would do that in a million years. And even though she's fiction, I really look up to Summer and hope someday to be as fantastic as her. Also, when I first heard about Summer, I made a false assumption that she had blonde hair and blue eyes and pale skin, just because her name was Summer. Just her name wound its way into another one of my wrong conclusions. I still looked up to her. Then when I found out she looked like me, with dark skin and dark hair, it really took me by surprise. I looked like the character I've always wanted to be. Summer and I have strong similarities and many differences, such as I would never ever be able to do something as out of this world amazing as she did. But we also such as Summer was invited to Savannah's party, the most popular girl in school, and she was so excited. I would be too. Anybody like her would. But I probably would have stayed just to fit in. I'm really proud of Summer for leaving that party and showing me what I can do to become more like her. Now, I probably would leave too. She was a very inspirational character to me. The whole time when I was reading her book, I asked myself over and over again, would I be as kind as Jack and Summer and become friends with August, or would I be like Julian? I still don't know about that, but there's so much you can really do to a kid like me. You probably did the complete maximum in teaching me wondrous lessons I can use in the future. The entire time I kept thinking how mean Julian was. Then I remembered I would be just as mean before I experienced your novel. Your words really encouraged me with inspiration no other book could have. As I read August's words, just melted into my brain and froze forever. I would never forget them. Conclusions in my mind that I used to have about people like him just clouded away as I read this. I almost felt as if I were somebody with a deformed face. He expressed his feelings so well that it felt as if he really sucked me into his thoughts and reformed me again as him. August really touched me as just more than another character in another book. Now he is part of my life. Someday when I see somebody like him, I will probably immediately refer to him in my mind. Thank you for writing such an interesting yet educational novel. If I hadn't read this, I would have had the same thoughts about these kind of people, and they probably would have never changed. People are people, no matter what they look like. You taught me that. August and I have so many similarities, even if we don't look a thing alike. In fact, I bet so many people, just like the person I used to be, have even more similarities than I do. They just don't want to admit it in their mind. You impacted a 12-year-old's life who you didn't even know. Your book and writing is one of a kind, just like August. August was like a friend to me. I will never forget him or you. Thank you. Sincerely, Sokeara, Sanford, age 12, Rhode Island.